log dead and stone lifting championships in Victoria back in Melbourne back in May. And myself and Andy headed down there to compete in the competition. And we had some pretty good success down there. It was a good time for both of us. It was the first time we'd actually travelled and competed interstate together. So that was really exciting. So we've got the log lift now. You can see Andy here. He opened with a really nice opener there, very comfortable, and then onto his second attempt, he actually made that first clean, but then got lightheaded. This was very common and is very common in the log, and does happen. There's a lot of blood pressure issues and can cut off your breathing because of the head position. But Andy recovers really well there. Uses his time well because he had a full 60 seconds. Comes back and nails that very nice, successful second lift at 122.5. So then he was attempting a PR here for his third attempt at 127.5. Very nice clean there from Andy, but again, lightheaded. It happened very consistently that day to quite a few athletes. Like I said, it is a common thing, and especially because this type of event was sort of like a powerlifting event where you had 3 attempts to get your highest lift you could. So especially on third attempts, a lot of people found it difficult because, well, we're right up on max lifts. So again, Andy, lovely clean, goes for the split jerk, which he's a master of the split jerk, and just a little bit too much that day. So then we're on to myself, and I opened at a comfortable for myself, 165 kg. This was a very tough log. This was a brand new one by Stand or Submit that Mason had put together, and that striping you can see on the log there is actually sort of like grip tape, like almost like the deck of a skateboard. So it does assist the clean a little bit, but at the top when you need a final turnover, it can be a bit difficult. So sometimes the rack position actually felt quite hard to achieve. So you could see the 165 wasn't a problem for me as an opener, but it wasn't as smooth as I would have liked. So then I went on to 175 for my next, again, well within my ability. Again, I kind of threw it forward here, which was bad that day for me. I kept doing that. And again, I think it comes back from memory to that log being a very tough clean, so the rack position wasn't ideal. So I was up against some very good heavyweights this day. Mitchell Hooper from Canada and Rongo Keane, former Australia's strongest man. And we're all very strong on the log, so it was quite a good battle here. So here's my 180 attempt, and it flew off the chest. I was actually very comfortable and felt really good. That was probably the best clean of the day for myself as well, but I just couldn't get that position right with that press that day. I let's call it a misgroove, and my right arm just didn't want to play ball, and then, yeah, that's the end of it there. Put it away, move on to the deadlifts. So, as I mentioned, I was in a battle with some big heavyweights in the men's opens. Andy was in quite a war of his own with the under 80s men. So he was really having a good head-to-head battle all day against Michael Smits, one of the Australia's top under 80 athletes from Melbourne. And they were going tit for tat on a lot of these lifts. It was a very exciting thing to watch, actually. So Andy opens nicely on a 240 on his deadlift, very comfortable, very well within his abilities. After that, he moves on to his second attempt for a personal best, 260 kgs. So this is a big jump for Andy, but he was playing against some tough competition, and he really needed a good result in the deadlift. But also his preparation had been very solid, and he and Ash had programmed this well, confident with his training. So this wasn't reckless at all. It was just a big jump. As you can see, lovely lift from Andy there. Very good, and he's very excited.
Let's go, Andy!
And then this was quite funny. So Andy decided to jump to 270 kg, but inside joke, the worst thing to happen to Strongman, a friend of ours, Cameron Taylor, snuck over to the judge's desk and bumped that at the last second up to 272.5 because that's 600 pounds on the button. And as you can see, it was probably a touch too far. To be fair, Andy probably that day should have attempted 265 in hindsight, but he'd already hit two really good numbers. One was a PR, and I think why not go a bit balls out sometimes on these opportunities when you've got not much to lose. And that's it for Andy. That's it. So lovely deadlift in there though. That was some really good progress. Okay, on to the opens. Here I am. I'd planned to open heavier than this, but in the warm-ups, my hemi was feeling a little funny, so I decided just for a safe one to get on the board, I dropped down to 330, which at this point was very well within my abilities. And as you can see, it's a really comfortable opener. Probably too comfortable. I should have maybe stayed with the original 340 I was aiming at, but live and learn. So then after that was so easy, I went, yep, let's go straight to 345 for a second. And again in this, I was really in a close fight with Rongo Keen on this one. He sort of followed my numbers on this, and there was only about 10 kilos in it between us when the dust settled. So it was a very close fight. So again, 345 flies up, no problems there. So my ultimate goal this day had been in preparation. I'd had a really successful build-up for this. My original desire, I guess, was to walk away with something north of 360, which is my all-time PR, and probably closer to 370. In hindsight, I probably could have pulled that, but again, played the safe bet. Hemi was feeling a bit funny. Settled with 355, and this was my third attempt. There we go. 355, and I was thrilled with that. That was actually a competition PB for me. Alana and I had worked hard on my deadlift in the previous sort of year, so that was a really good way to finish. All right, on to stones. Andy and I both love stones. It was very cold by this point. The tacky was not cooperating with anyone. It was actually kind of freezing on the stones, so the stone lifting became a really, really difficult thing. It was about 4 degrees in the gym at this point. We're at night time now, and made it very tough. But as you saw, Andy opened with a lovely 140 onto a lovely equal competition PR of 150. And then again, he and Michael were actually really chasing almost world record numbers here. I think another kilo more on this would have been a world record for either Michael or Andy. You can see there, Andy made a mistake on that 160 pick. He actually tried to roll it back too soon. He hadn't passed his knees with it. So he has 60 seconds to do as many attempts as you need to. He rolls it in this time. Pulls it in. And unfortunately, by this point, Andy's glutes and hammies were pretty shot because a lot of people might not realise it, but log lifting takes a lot out of your posterior chain, and then obviously you hammer that with deadlift, maximum deadlifting, and then it's a big ask to come in and do some really big max stone lifting, especially things that are up near world record lifts. So great day overall though for Andy and a great total. So this is my opener. I opened conservative again on this just to get on the board. You can see I had a slip there. That was the tacky freezing and giving me no help at all. So 180 though, well within my abilities. Pop that over. I jumped on to 190 for my second. Again, playing safe because I was chasing a good total and I was trying to hold Rongo at bay. I was ahead of him at this point, and Mitchell from Canada had kind of streaked ahead with a really monstrous deadlift, so it was sort of Rongo and I battling for second at this point. Again, a bit of a slip there while I sort of adjusted with the tacky. Pull it in. You see I use quite a high hip position, and then 190 went over very comfortably. All right, so when the dust settled, that was the end of my successful attempts. I had gone on to miss at 205, and then a fourth attempt I just missed at 215. Again, probably fatigue and tacky problems, but that happens. So yeah, when we're all was said and done, Andy came in with a very solid second place performance just behind Michael, who's a world-class under 80, so that was a great result for Andy. And then, in the end, I was able to pull out a very good second place myself. So Happy days.